By way of a quick introduction for everyone here, my name is Brian Vinson. I've been at Google roughly 7 years. Started as an engineer, been in the management space for about 5 years. I now lead a team of engineers across 4 states within Google here in the Southeast. Before that, I was actually a dedicated engineer at Lowe's, which I think we've got some Lowe's folks here as well. So I know the account base fairly well. And just by general background, generative AI is a space that we've always been growing in. Ron talked about, Ron, I don't know how long have you been doing these conferences now overall, high level?
20 years.
20 years. All right. So of all of my 7 years here, I think I've been working with Angelbeat. And in the earlier days, it was a lot of why Google, why cloud type conversations. And that has obviously evolved over time. So we've come a long way as a whole. I'm actually going to start with something and be a little interactive as we kind of kick off and just open it up to the room as well as those who are remote as well. But this is a picture taken from the 90s time frame. And I'm going to ask everybody here or on the web, what's missing from this picture that you notice?
People on their cell phones.
People on their cell phones. Good answer. Any other answers?
No masks.
No mask. That is also correct. If you fast forward roughly 10 years, look at the vast difference of that same environment taken just by the way of technology and time evolving, right? So now everybody has a cell phone, but it's become so common we really don't take notice of these things because people are generally on their phones. And cell phones sort of represent what I consider to be that second shift in technology. Generative AI for us is really that third big monumental shift in the way we interact with technology as a whole. So at Google, we believe that AI improves the lives of billions of people. And we have the capacity now to assist, to complement, to also kind of work with everybody in the human field and endeavor. So we focus on generative AI because we see this as a huge shift as a whole. I'll start with a different way of kind of putting this. And this is what helped put context for me because we asked a couple of our team to put some stats together. How many years do you think it took, or how long do you think it took for airplanes to reach 50 million users? Essentially 50 million people flying, just by random
50
question.
years.
50 years is one. Okay. Any other answers? All right, we'll all go around for 50, right? It took 68 years for 50 million people to start leveraging airplanes. How long do you think it took for the internet? 20, 50, 30?
30.
Okay. 7 years for the internet to get to 50 million users. How long do you think it took Facebook?
Yeah.
1 year? Any others?
Slowly.
Facebook to get 50 million unique users. 3 years. All right, so in comparison, how long do you think it took generative AI to get to 50 million users?
3 months.
3 months? 5 weeks, right? So it shows where technology is going as a whole, how fast this market is moving. And overall, it kind of shows where we're kind of moving at an accelerated rate and how generative AI is such a key piece in everything we do. All right, so if you get into some of the advancements, and I'll actually start more so from a hardware perspective, and then we'll get into some various components of it. But the advancements in hardware for us are a big part of what gave us a really, really big advantage in this space. So essentially, we are accelerating the computing capacity at the lowest level, at the chipset level. So this actually shows the life of what we call a TPU, a tensor processing unit, across various versions. And the TPU is we actually started releasing these in 2015 to leverage machine learning language and models and building of models. And we've actually seen an accelerated rate of how we do processing power, working with complex models and such. But now we're actually starting to arrange these TPUs in pods, and we can actually generate up to 9 exaflops of peak aggregation performance leveraging this approach, right? So you can see the fundamental shift for us is not just the tech in itself, but we spent a vast amount of time working on also the hardware and how that kind of complements it to make LLMs run faster and do some pretty incredible things. but also make things more accurate by the way we're processing them. So I'll get into the stack, and the stack can consist of a few different components. We're going to start at the bottom up, so we'll talk about the AI sort of hypercomputer aspect of it. We're the only company that really provides a full solution, if you think about it, with a connected cloud, with agents, with hardware, and our AI hypercomputer is a big part of why we do that and how we do that. So we optimize it at the stack level, at the lowest level, and then that gives us performance and AI training that we can leverage. So if you look at the details of it, it's performance optimized hardware. We talked about TPU, but it's also performance optimized hardware from a storage perspective, as well as fast working networking, which is also leveraging like fiber connections that we also leverage as a part of this as well. And we're building multi-models languages, and we're working with them in a way that kind of leverage the scale of the hardware, but we also build it upon an open stack. So we're big believers in open software. We release a ton of things to the open market as a whole, which is really key to us. And we're seeing computing demands, if you really think about it from a generative AI perspective, grow by a factor of about 10x per year. And I cannot understate how much that is impactful. So things are growing at a very fast rate, and we're leveraging the hypercomputer as a part of how we get to that part as well. What you'll also see is one of our foundational models, what we call Gemini. Has anybody heard of Gemini or leveraged Gemini today? Awesome. All right. We thank you for that. This is built up from the ground up, and it's a multimodal approach that means we can generalize, we can understand, we can actually operate across and combine different types of information simultaneously. And whether that can be text, it can be code, it can be audio, it can be video. We've got a number of different ways we process things leveraging Gemini. I want to walk you through what a couple of those look like. So Gemini offers the world's largest context window. So we support roughly 1 million tokens, 11 hours of audio, and this is on Gemini 1.5 that was recently released. Code bases up to 30,000 lines of code in one pass, or 700,000 words processed in one pass as well. So these are examples of what people are leveraging for large context windows within Gemini in itself. We also have ability to extract data accurately. And we actually have an example of a university professor that uses the extraction aspect of Gemini to extract 3,000-page documents that has text, has data tables, has charts, but they're able to actually do that in one shot, leveraging Gemini as well from the back end. And I heard a financial services example come up earlier. Search, analyze, and answer questions. We actually have a financial services company we work with that leverages it for this purpose, where they're actually using it to search and answer questions on complex merger and acquisition documents that come across their firm. So they actually upload those documents to a central location and leverage Gemini to ask questions about those documents, which are very long and very complex from a merger and acquisition perspective. And we can also understand code bases. And we're seeing this a lot in the greenfield space for us, or small market startups as well. And we see this also in large organizations. But we actually have an example of a startup founder that's actually leveraging it for just this purpose. They actually go through the process to understand their code base through Gemini, and they identify critical issues and actually implement the fixes through leveraging AI against their code base as a whole. All right, and then what's also becoming incredibly common is how do we process video and how do we make sense of that? And there are examples now where you can upload a video and ask a question of that, and it'll tell you the exact moment within the video that topic is being discussed, talked about, or brought up. We work with a lot of sports type companies. We actually have one sports technology company that we work with where we provide AI-enabled cameras that let the users actually query the videos and then evaluate the plays that happen within the sports event within the exact key moments of the game, right? So we can be very granular in these cases. And the use cases continue to grow, which is actually becoming really exciting. All right, so what I'm going to do now is
This is a
actually walk
demo of
through
anomaly detection
audio
using
version of
generative
this, and
AI.
this might
Generative
not
AI
play, so
is
let me test it.
revolutionizing and reshaping anomaly detection by shifting from rule-based approaches to a
If I
deep
can get my
understanding
audio
of normal
working.
patterns. It does a much better job than things like machine learning, rules-based approaches, and can resolve anomaly detection using generative AI. Generative AI is revolutionizing and reshaping anomaly detection by shifting from rule-based approaches to a deep understanding of normal patterns. It does a much better job than things like machine learning, rules-based approaches, and can really detect very specific anomalies in very large data sets. It does it more accurately, faster, with fewer distractions, and is very adaptable to new data and evolving scenarios. Let's take a look. Here we are in our Vertex AI Studio. I've asked it to create a report detecting all anomalies, irregularities, and red flags in 40 car loan applications that are listed throughout this data set. And a typical car loan application, providing information of how much you want to borrow, information about the individual, whether it's their personal information, their business information, their financial information, to judge their credit worthiness to get the requested loan. Let's go ahead and run this. And very quickly, it will actually deliver the results that we requested. So as it runs this, I'll just flag a few things. You see ID number 3, David Lee. He's identified as having high income with low savings. Applicant income is significantly high, yet their savings are relatively low. This can indicate potential income exaggeration or responsible financial management. Second one, Mary Jones. She's retired. So the loan seems high considering her income and age. Here, William Brown, he's using a browser called Tor, which is used kind of in the dark web. And so the applicant is trying to anonymize their activity, and this could be a potential fraudulent intention. And I'll show one more where the applicant claims to have worked for a company for 50 years. And this is statistically unlikely and warrants further investigation given the information that we have. And then there's several more. And then there's other explanations of individuals that were flagged just to give more detail about the information that was identified.
All right, so that's a video that kind of walked through a demo of this, and
this is a demo of anomaly.
Go back. A big reason of kind of showing this is to go through the anomaly detection and kind of show you what that looks like as a whole. I will actually backspace because it is stuck on the video once I blew it up. Screen being shown still. There we go. So if I move my way up the stack, and I will actually walk through Vertex AI, which is actually one of the things we get the most questions about these days in particular. And this is our fastest growing enterprise AI platform as a whole. And Vertex AI, just by show of hands, at least the people in the room, has anybody in here worked with Vertex AI before? All right, so I'll kind of start more at a sort of introductory level, kind of what it is, what values it provides, and then kind of go from there. So Vertex AI consists of a number of different components, but a few of those components, and one of those key components for us is the Vertex AI Model Garden. So essentially, this allows you to leverage over 130 plus models, and we're one of the cloud providers that actually, do this not just from things that we provide, but you can also leverage third-party models, source models, et cetera. That model garden allows you to access these particular models, but you can actually get the latest versions of Gemini. For anybody who kind of works with partner models like Claude from Anthropic, you can leverage those. the list goes on and on to many open source popular models like Llama, Gemma, etc. But you can choose the best model for your use case, which essentially allows you to kind of get a fast start where you don't have to start from ground zero, leverage your existing models through the model garden, and kind of build upon those as a baseline from there. After the model garden is the model builder within Vertex AI. And the model builder allows you to leverage Vertex AI to tune, augment, and manage particular models as well. It consists of various components, so you can augment models. So with Vertex AI, you can actually provide managed tooling to connect your model to the enterprise. You can connect your models to existing databases that you're leveraging, whether those are deployed within GCP or other platforms as well. And then you can also leverage things like APIs and function calling as a part of that as well. There's also what we call retrieval augmented generation, which combines strengths of retrieval knowledge and generative AI and provides a high quality way to provide personalized answers and recommendation. And then once you have all these models tuned, you can actually go through the process of, connecting it with the enterprise or source of truth within your organization. So, ML ops capabilities, allowing you to kind of monitor your needs and deploy those as well. So we talked about the model builder. We talked about we talked about the agents. We talked about the garden. The other part of that is the model builder. And the Vertex AI model builder is actually pretty interesting because it allows you the opportunity now to take customer agents or leverage agents and kind of do those in a way that make the most sense for your business. So now you can create customer agents in really three key areas. So the first one is leveraging Gemini Pro. You can create more free-flowing human interactive conversations as well. The second way is you can use natural language instructions and control the shape of your conversations. What I think is really interesting here is natural language instructions and this type of approach allow you to kind of give guidance on specific topics, but also you can personalize in a way where you can tell it what topics it shouldn't discuss, whatever business needs you have. So you can kind of control some of the outputs that come as a part of these free-flowing conversations. And then the third part of that is making sure we're doing things like grounding responses to improve the quality. For those who are familiar with grounding, that's a really key part of AI, in particular generative AI as a whole, because it does two things for you. It allows you to validate and make sure things are factual and correct, but also it prevents things like hallucinations, which means you're providing incorrect data to users as well. So you want to make sure you're carrying those two areas. So with grounding, we're actually taking a few steps forward. And we've now introduced grounding within Google's cloud, but we actually leverage grounding on Google Search. So we're making it easy to not just ground your models from things like enterprise databases you have, enterprise applications, but now you can actually leverage grounding with Google Search, which essentially gives you the opportunity to take what is considered one of the world's most trusted sources of information and understand contextual knowledge of the questions you're asking, but actually take it to current events as well. So now I can sort of take the things that are stored within local databases, graph databases, whatever the case may be, and then merge that with grounding on Google Search to kind of take some of the most recent information as well to give end users a response that is more sort of not just provides context, but also provides relevant information on what's happening today, right? So this is a really key piece. This is actually just announced this year. It is GA now, and a lot of customers are starting to leverage this to improve the quality of their responses to their large language models. And then I'm going to talk about three key areas and then walk into a separate space here. But from a Google perspective, Gemini for Google Cloud helps users with every aspect of artificial language, generative AI as a whole, and coding for any environment. We now leverage Gemini for Workspace. So you can actually take agents built right into Docs, into Gmail, into Sheets, into Slides. And you can actually do that with a very high level of enterprise-grade security and privacy as well. And then the agents in particular, which I think is really key to anything in this space. And that is, how do we enable you to get you a fast start within your AI journey? And we see that in two ways with agents. one for internal use cases where you're talking to employees, people within your organization, ask some questions about, whether policy or approaches. And then customer facing agents, which obviously kind of explains itself, but allows customers to have an easier way to work with your organizations. Our agents actually span across a couple of different areas. We've got agents for customer agents, we've got data agents, everything down to code agents. And this allows you to kind of take action, but have a very specific goal in mind when leveraging it. So this is taking the best of kind of what we've already built, leveraging the agents, and then building upon that to kind of fit your organization's use case and needs into it. But this is all built on our platform, leveraging our models, leveraging our infrastructure, and so on from there. So these agents can actually connect with other agents. So you can actually leverage a customer agent and connect that agent with a code agent or a data agent to make it useful to your business as a whole. So we really give you extreme flexibility across the board. All right, and I have one more video for you, so pay attention. It's actually how we leverage shopping in generative AI, and this is totally flexible, but gives you an idea of some of the capabilities that generative AI is giving. Keep in mind, this is all voice control, so they're not actually typing, they're talking with the agent. can see, this kind of gives you an idea of sort of the beginning to end, right? Because they're actually leveraging this built in, actually had groceries delivered as a part of the effort, which makes a ton of sense. I'll kind of close it off in a couple of key areas, but one thing that makes us unique is about roughly 5 years ago, we started to process, and we were one of the first companies to publish what we call AI principles. So it's how we operate in this space because it's so key to the way the company has been going. And these principles are crafted from input from not just internal, but our customers, our partners, on sort of how at the core, how we want to design, how we want to work with people, operate, but also ensure that our customers collectively at this point achieve the intended benefits and also avoid unintended potential harms as far as the AI space is concerned as well. So we've documented this. This is all public knowledge and everybody can view it as well, but it kind of shows some of the principles that we're built upon from a Google perspective when it comes to AI. And as I was sitting in the back, I actually pretty much went into Gemini right before the presentation and said, "Hey, Gemini, give me a summary slide for this presentation." So just to show you that I'm not making this type of stuff up, and it actually gave me this slide. I took it as is. I did not edit it, but what it did is it went through the entire presentation, looked at some of the key points that I was discussing, and then also provided a summary. But in summary, to that point, it kind of walks through some of the value points. So when it comes to generative AI, we do leverage agents to run your business and serve our customers. We are at a very transformational time within our industry as well, and we want to help you build for the future. So with that, I will open it up for any questions, comments from those in the room as well as online.